Good evening. Can we all sit down, please? We're about 10 minutes late, but I consider that's a great sign because all of you are having a great time. And I really hope you enjoyed all the entrepreneurs' booths. We're all about the next generation and really trying to support these young entrepreneurs survive and thrive. So thank you so much for being here. So ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to welcome you to our second Serica Gala. Thank you. Thank you. I really hope you enjoyed these Asian entrepreneurs during the cocktail hour who have enough courage, grit, and adventure to start their own startups. I hope you will support them in any way you can. Visit with them, take their cards, try out their merchandise, and definitely spread the word. Thank you for joining us to celebrate and honor our exceptional honorees tonight who make us so proud of being Asian Americans. Thank you too to all our sponsors and supporters for making our gala possible tonight. These few years have been challenging for us Asian Americans. Okay, three very important surveys have been published earlier this year. The first one by TAF, the Asian American Foundation, Columbia University, and Pew Research all show that 74% of Chinese Americans experienced racial discrimination in the past 12 months. 52% of Asian Americans felt unsafe in the U.S. In response to the new McCarthyism, hundreds of grassroots organizations have sprung up to fight AAPI hate. We at Serica have decided to build awareness that we are Americans first and that we contribute greatly to American business, culture, and society. Tonight's honorees, George Takei, Frank Wu, Wendy O'Neill, and Patricia Chin, who have joined us tonight, have achieved excellence in the fields of entertainment, education, art, medicine, and music. Many, many congratulations to you all. Let's give them a round of applause. They are role models for us, for the Asian American community, whose hard work and creativity have helped all Americans. Tonight, we stand alongside all our AAPI friends and allies, using our collective influence to challenge prejudice and build understanding. We are particularly grateful to TAF, the Asian American Foundation, and WNET PBS for making our collaboration possible. Our films are aired, reaching over 200 million plus viewers and being converted to creating K-12 educational materials for use in schools on the history of and contributions of Asian Americans. We are joined by our friends at WNET and PBS tonight, Judy Greenspan, Head of Exploring Hate, Vanessa Weiss, Development Director, and WNET Trustee Charlotte Ackert. Please stand up to be recognized. Thank you for your great work and collaboration. Thank you for being here tonight. It means so much to us. Serica's mission is to uphold our AAPI community through film, galas like this one, through our Sinophobia tracker, and to support our Next Gen Circle through our role models and events which bring our philanthropists and communities together. With the newly revamped Next Gen group called CINGS, C-I-N-G-S, that stands for China Institute Next Gen Serica Initiative, our members are forging forward in their interest in entrepreneurship, climate change, their own giving and philanthropic circles, and greater Asian American inclusion. SINGS is headed by Annie Liang Zhu and their executive team, and their members are here tonight. Please stand up and be recognized. Thank you. They are one great group. At this time, I also want to point out our Serica trustees and devoted advisors in this audience. Charlotte Ackert and Frank Wu are Serica trustees. Our highly trusted advisor, Greg Ho, who is here tonight with us. Thank you all for your great advice in and throughout the year. Please stand up and be recognized. Thank you, Charlotte. Thank you, Greg. We really rely on you. And last but not least, we are honored to be joined by New York Assembly Member Grace Lee, who is our second keynote speaker, and New York Senator James Skofish. Please be recognized and stand up. Thank you for all the great work you do for New York. I think Grace has some surprise that you will announce when you speak. We selected China Institute as the venue tonight, as I am also vice chair at China Institute for over 15 years. Tonight, I want to introduce our new president, George Ge, who joins us from the private equity community to bring professionalism and business acumen to jumpstart CEI's initiative and finalize our capital campaign to complete building our 2 floors. We hope that next year all of you will join us at the new auditorium and restaurant and gala space on the 1st floor. George, please stand up and let everybody know who you are. Here's our new president. We're very proud to have you. Also, China Institute will have a few important events coming up. This is advertising for China Institute. October 3rd is our first executive summit in 5 years. We've got terrific speakers, and our Blue Cloud Gala is October 17th, where we will be honoring Yue Sai Khan and the Chow family, Elaine Chow, Angela May, and Father James, along with Michelle Lim Nursalim from Indonesia. You can find details by Googling China Institute and press the link events. Also, a little advertising for our own The China Project. Serica's sister company also has our next China conference on November 1st at the AAPI, New York. The theme is What Does China Want? The Shape of World Power Tomorrow. And you can find details of that at thechinaproject.com under events. And finally, we also want to thank our TCP, China, the China Project, and China Institute staff, and all our volunteers who worked very hard to make tonight possible. Thank you very much. Tonight's event is not just a gathering of individuals, but a convergence of ideals and aspirations. Let us be inspired by the honorees' journeys and committed to furthering their legacies. Together, we can continue to shape a world where diversity is celebrated and voices are amplified in support of positive change. At this time, I would like to introduce you to Roseanne Lake, a great friend and past MC for us at the China Project, our sister organization. Roseanne has lived in China as working in various positions, and currently now is Cuba correspondent for The Economist and also a director of international publishing at RB Media, the world's largest audiobook publisher. Roseanne not only speaks and writes Chinese fluently, she also speaks Spanish, of course English, and French, and has a bestseller book in China, Leftover in China is the name, The Woman Shaping the World's Next Superpower, which is both in English and Chinese. She has made a TED Talk on this topic, which you may enjoy watching. Roseanne is now working on her second book about another Chinese woman who is going global. The topic is still top secret, so I won't share it, but I assure you it's going to become a bestseller again. Please welcome Roseanne Lake, who is our MC tonight. Before I pass the evening to Roseanne, once again, I want to thank all our sponsors, EY, David and Charlotte Ackert Foundation, Kingdon Capital, the Long Foundation, Alpha Square, and Cape Classics for contributing the delicious wine for tonight, and 50 Hertz Tingly Food for complimentary peanuts at our tables, and Frank Wu for the yellow whistles that you see to protect yourself, and the book Yellow, which he has written, and he's happy to sign it after your dinner for you to bring home. Please also take a moment to review the silent auction items which are outside. They are generously donated from our AAPI friends, Tiffany, Sonsam Tours and Hotels, Angel Chang, 12 Pell, and much, much more. Please enjoy the evening. Roseanne, the stage is yours.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Anla, for the very warm welcome. I really can't explain what an honor it is to be here, namely because I am not a member of the Asian American community, as you can see, but everything that has been happening. So the uptick in violence and discrimination is something that I've been following very closely because it's obviously something that affects many people who are very dear to me. And from where I sit in the publishing world and as a journalist, as an author, it hasn't been lost on me that, Asian stories have been increasingly harder to tell. It's not uncommon for an editor or a film director or another industry gatekeeper to say, that's a fantastic story, but it's just too China centric. And we're staying away from China right now. And as someone who spent a lot of time in China and who built a career around telling stories about women in China, that is devastating, it's disconcerting, and it's completely counterintuitive because what we really need most is to engage, to empathize, and to amplify those voices. So I hope this evening, with all of Anla's enthusiasm and all the work that she and her team have put behind getting us all together, we can do what we can to reignite those voices and draw attention to the community. And with that, I've said enough. I'd like to welcome Frank Wu up to the stage. He's president of Queens College. I've talked to him about making an audiobook of Yellow, so stay tuned. please head up to the stage and welcome.
Good evening, friends. I'll be very brief because I know that on a fine evening such as this, everyone wants to enjoy the food, the company, the conversation, not the speeches on stage. I'll just say briefly, this is our moment. It is a time to stand up and to speak out, to embrace the American ideals and principles which beckoned with hope and opportunity across the Pacific. It is a moment for us to look at the examples set by our friends who are African American, who are Jewish, who have been civil rights activists and changed this nation. During the pandemic, there was just so much violence that Asian Americans have long been familiar with. The teasing, the taunting, the slurs, the words that are shouted by strangers on the street as you walk down the sidewalk minding your own business, that lead to so much worse. Elderly women being spat upon, being shoved to the ground so hard that their bones are broken, being kicked in the head, sent to the hospital unconscious, being stabbed, shot. And yet, initially, people said, this is just random. Never mind that folks were targeted with those angry, ugly, ethnic words that signal you don't belong and you never will. Yet during the pandemic, even at its height in Queens, in Flushing, where I live, I was humbled to attend a rally, not a fine banquet such as this, outdoors, when it was just barely safe for us to gather in crowds. And as I looked out at the people who were there, I saw people who were young, people who were old, people born in the United States, and their immigrant parents and grandparents gathering for the first time, ready to march, holding signs and placards declaring, I am an American. And I was offered an opportunity at this rally to say a few words. And I said honestly to the folks I was looking at, I've never seen this. I've never seen hundreds of Asian Americans asserting their rights, standing up for themselves in this diverse democracy, doing what we have been taught to do, to say, I belong. And then as I looked at the 24 speakers, then Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul was there. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer was there. The Borough President, Donovan Richards, Civil Rights activist Al Sharpton. There were people who were white, people who were black, people who were Asian American, alongside people who were Latino, labor leaders, gay and lesbian leaders. Everyone was there in a way that I also had never seen. I'd never seen such a coalition standing up for Asian Americans. It's that moment of activism that we must seize and carry that energy forward, because we believe in this great nation, and through our contributions, we will change it for the better. Thank you so very much for this opportunity to be with you. I am deeply humbled that my friend Amla would choose to honor me, and I look forward to what we will do because we promised one another as part of that social contract when we were sheltering in place, quarantining, not sure what the future would bring, that when we emerged yet again, we would make this world a better place. Let us get to it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Frank. That was a very moving speech, and I'm actually envious of your current and former students because you're a remarkable orator. It would be wonderful to be in your class. So now we've got dinner. We'll reconvene at 8 p.m. Please introduce yourselves to your table mates. Be very social, conspire, come up with all sorts of ideas for how we can set out to accomplish the goals we've set forth. And please also take a moment to check out the silent auction items. So these include a curated behind the scenes tour of Tiffany's, followed by lunch at Danielle Boulud's Blue Box Cafe. Pretty remarkable. 8 days in Yunnan with a private tour to see golden monkeys and pandas on the Nature Conservancy's preserve. There's also photography from Michael Yamashita, a painting from Chen Man, and handmade sustainable clothing from Angela Chong, among many other things. So please do check that out. I saw there were already some bids in, so don't waste too much time. All right, enjoy your dinner. Hello again, everyone. How has dinner been? Did you enjoy the Gambian Zajidol? They're one of my favorites. I really enjoyed seeing those. Well, I'm very pleased to introduce our second keynote speaker, Assemblymember Grace Lee. Feel free to come up, or I'll say a few words about you. Welcome to the stage. Grace Lee is the first Korean American woman elected to the New York State government, which I think deserves a round of applause. She is a community organizer, small business owner, and extremely fashionable trailblazer. I'm ad-libbing, but I think it's fair. Her efforts include co-founding a coalition to demand the safe cleanup of a mercury brownfield in the seaport, to empowering deaf tenants living in deplorable conditions on the Lower East Side to stand up to their management. It's really hard to stand up to management. I've done that, so well done. Grace has also been a prominent voice against anti-Asian hate in New York City. More recently, her focus has been on reviving Chinatown. Welcome to the table.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. It is such an honor and pleasure to be here. I want to thank Anla and Josephine and Daniel for bringing me here, inviting me here to be part of this. And of course, it's an honor to be in the company of George, Wendy, Patty, and Frank as well. My name is Grace Lee, and I represent a district in Lower Manhattan that includes the Financial District, Lower East Side, and China. These neighborhoods all have an important place in American history. In fact, this district was once represented by Alexander Hamilton. So imagine that, a daughter of Asian immigrants holding the same seat as a founding father of our country. That is truly the power of America. My district has a rich history, and like Serica, that has used storytelling to combat pernicious stereotypes and cultivate empathy. I too feel a responsibility to tell our community's story. I'm not a professor or historian, although I'm pretty sure my parents would have preferred me to go into that profession. But tonight, I want to talk about why it's so important for us to tell the stories of our past. As Frank mentioned, and all of you know, we are facing a crisis right now. We all feel it. Just a few weeks ago, a Chinese immigrant right up in Tribeca was pushed into the train tunnels. Fortunately, she survived. But we all know the tragic story of Hidalgo, who was pushed in front of a train in Times Square. And probably are also aware of the tragic murder of Christina Lee, who lived in my district and was followed home to her apartment. The list is endless. We all know someone who has in recent years been attacked or hit or spat on for being Asian. It even happened to me on Wall Street while walking my daughter. a woman shouted a racist slur and threw a bottle at me. And it was a little terrifying at the time, but more than terrifying, it was completely dehumanizing. I was in Wall Street. I have an Ivy League degree. I have an MBA, and have met many successes. And I was even walking with my young daughter, but that did not make me immune from the attacks that so many of us have had to suffer over the many years. You know, we have been dehumanized and scapegoated in this country since we first set foot. And truly, it has been heightened during this pandemic, and especially by the former president. We all feel that collective unease of both being targeted and unseen. People are standing with their backs against the wall while they're waiting for a train. And against the backdrop of rising anti-Asian hate, our community here in Lower Manhattan faces a very different kind of threat. Right now, the city is building a new mega jail in the middle of Chinatown, in the heart of my district, that will be the tallest jail in the world. Demolition and construction, which is expected to take place over many years, is going to place enormous pressure on surrounding businesses, restaurants, families, and seniors. Chinatown's economy is still struggling after COVID, yet many of our leaders do not care. In fact, 40 years ago, when Chinatown organized and protested against the city's first plan to put the jail that's currently in the community, Mayor Ed Koch listened to their objections and then turned to the Chinatown community and said, "You don't vote, you don't count," and built the jail anyway. But why should he or any of us care about Chinatown? This is something that, you know, we are talking about a lot. Like, what does a small business mean to our community? Why is it so important for us to preserve Chinatown? And for me, it's because Chinatown is the heart of the Asian American story for the city, for the state, and also for this country. It's where many of our families started their journey. The restaurants and businesses that fuel Chinatown's economy today are a legacy of the immigrants who built it. If we lose Chinatown, we lose a part of our history in this country. History is repeating itself. The city is once again telling us that we don't count. And that's why we must fight to tell our stories for our communities. Our leaders are more likely to preserve and invest in the neighborhood when they understand its history. We have to educate people about the mistakes made by the city and this country so that they don't happen again. We have to tell them about the Chinese Exclusion Act, especially as states are trying to ban Chinese nationals from buying land. We're going backwards right now, not forwards. And we have to share with them the stories of Japanese internment camps, which one of our honorees, George Takei, has done so much to share his own story as a child, you know, and his family's experiences so that so many of us can avoid that harm going forward. Teaching history is humanizing. When we show that our histories have value, we show that our lives have value. This year, I introduced legislation to require AAPI history to be taught in all of New York's public schools. And I led the fight and successfully passed my bill to make Lunar New Year a statewide school holiday. It's important to teach our history to our children, but we should also teach our history to all children. And last Saturday, we made history when the governor signed my Lunar New Year bill officially into law so that New York State is now the first state in the country to recognize Lunar New Year and observe it across all of its schools statewide. And Lunar New Year is more than a holiday. We are sending a message with this policy to show that to all New Yorkers that Asian Americans belong here and our traditions matter. And most importantly, by requiring all students to observe this holiday, we are also giving an opportunity for reflection in schools to talk about Asian culture and to make it part of the conversation and to ensure inclusion and diversity and acceptance by all. But across the country, we are seeing states move to alter or delete the histories of marginalized communities from our classrooms. They want to erase the beauty and the power of our communities, as well as the wrongs that were inflicted on them by people in power. We cannot let that happen. We must fight to tell our stories. When we're young, the bedtime stories we are told by our parents teach us values. They give us a personal identity and a family. The stories we are told by our teachers, by our coaches, and our pastors give us a shared identity, and they make us part of a group or team that we can belong to. The stories we are told by our leaders and our history books give us a national identity, a country we belong to. So let us teach Asian American stories to all so that we can all belong to the same family, the same team, and the same nation. I'm bringing back the bill this year to require AAPI history in schools in New York. And I ask all of you to help to join me, to use your voices, to use your influence, to help me pass it this year. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Grace. I will think of you every Lunar New Year. That's amazing. Well done. Okay. Well, thank you very much for that. Next, we'd like to welcome Daniel Tam Claiborne to the stage. Where is? Ah, there he is. Okay. He's the co-executive director of the Serica Initiative, responsible for the PBS partnership and film series. Of course.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks so much. Hi, everyone. How are you all doing tonight? I'll keep this short since I know dinner is before us, but it's my honor and privilege to welcome you all this evening to gather and celebrate from the foremost leaders working to empower the Asian American community and as well as to advance U.S. China relations, both of which stand at a critical juncture. In addition to all our speakers and honorees this evening, the Serica Initiative recognizes that it is more vital than ever for us to forge powerful partnerships and amplify our impact together. I think this room is a real testament to that. We're so grateful to have you all here from across so many industries and disciplines, from business people to investors, philanthropists, foundations, and nonprofits, all united by this common cause. I may be a little biased in saying this, but I truly do think that Serica's mission is no more vital now than it ever has been. During a period of unprecedented anti-Asian hate, of which we've heard so many examples so far this evening, using empathy and storytelling to underscore the interconnectedness between communities, to promote greater allyship and coalition building with greater sensitivity, tolerance, and insight is not only timely, but urgent. So if you feel moved to contribute tonight at any time, please do feel free to check out the very last page of your program. It's a QR code there. We're so grateful for anything you're able to share with us, any resources you can provide. We know that with your participation and support, we can bring our common goals of humanizing Asian American stories, of educating our next generation on AAPI issues, and also influencing policy to bring about lasting social change for all communities of color to fruition. Speaking of empathizing human stories, I'd love to just share tonight a very brief clip from one of our most recent partnerships with WNET PBS. The series is called Between Black and White, Asian Americans Speak Out, and it's available for free online streaming in its entirety, both on Serica's website as well as on PBS's own. The series itself is about the interconnectedness between the Asian American community and other communities of color here in the US, the tensions and the historical underpinnings that undergird that relationship, as well as the opportunities for allyship that can exist when we work together and truly believe in a united cause. So the clip that I want to just play briefly is from our second episode. It's called A Seat at the Table, about an intersectional community of Asian American Jews that cultivates connection, belonging, and visibility. So we'll go ahead and show that, hopefully. And if not, that's totally okay too. Uh, I'll just hang out here for a while in the meantime. Yeah, totally have them prepared. Right after the video, I'll hand things back over to Roseanne to resume the most important and most exciting part of this evening, which is the honorees. So forgive me for going on at length.
A new spike in violence, an old story of exclusion. Why are Asian Americans?
And we could always show it later too, if that's easier. You can jump to honoree. Okay, I'll hand things back over to Roseanne. Thank you all so much again for being here.
Okay, so we don't get to tap dance tonight. We get to do something much more exciting. We get to commence the award ceremony. Our first honoree is Patricia Chin. Patricia is the dynamo behind VP Records, the world's largest reggae music label, which counts Bob Marley, Sean Paul, Dred Mar, and Shaggy among its artists. A person of unmatched energy and enthusiasm, she is the queen of reggae, a mother of four children, grandmother to 12, and great-grandmother of 3. Please cue, that's a lot of hongbao around the holidays, isn't it? Please cue up the video so we can learn more about her remarkable career. You're welcome to come up when the video is playing or as you wish.
We have a special guest in the building, Miss Pat.
When the journalists come to interview me, they were shocked to see Chinese woman in America selling reggae music. My mother was full Chinese and my father full East Indian. Both sides of my family were immigrants. So I spent 20 years on the counter at Randy's Record.
Set up in the heart of downtown Kingston, Randy's quickly became Jamaica's leading record store and found itself at the heart of Jamaica's booming music scene.
Even Bob Marley came through, right?
Even Bob Marley came through when he first started. So I was born in the music and I developed the music. And I get to be friends with the producers, the singers, the customer.
So what made you say, you know what? I want to create VP Records and be the outlet for all Jamaican artists for decades.
I left Jamaica in 1977, the Jamaica Queens, and we left from Randy's to VP Records. Sometimes it was very, very hard for me as a woman because they would say to me sometimes, could I put on a man on the phone? But little did they know I spent 20 years on the counter in Jamaica, so I knew all the songs, the singers, the producers, the rhythms. I knew everything about music. I didn't know that a woman can do music, but I'm the one that started long before Bob Marley even got popular.
And let's give Patricia Chin another round of applause. Good evening, everyone. My name is Veltalyn. I'm Vice Chair of the VP Foundation. Patricia Chin, known also as Miss Pat, but for me, she's Auntie Pat, my best friend and my second mom. I've known Auntie Pat through my early childhood, growing up and working alongside her at Randy's Record Mart in Kingston, Jamaica. The music business was not an easy task for her. She had to face many challenges. It was a tough, dominant male industry, and she had to learn everything very quickly. She did not have assistants. She did not have production people at her aid. She was the face of that record store. She was our salesperson, the marketing person, the advertisement. She did it all. Isn't she an amazing woman? Her hard work, dedication, and perseverance developed today what is a successful music business, VP Records. I admire her achievements as a self-made businesswoman in the reggae music industry. Let's give her a round of applause to Patricia Chin, Miss Pat, for 60 years of outstanding accomplishments. She has paved the way for many others to follow in her footsteps. Congratulations to Patricia Chin, the recipient of the Serica Initiative Award.
Good evening, everyone. What a beautiful gathering. I'm Patricia Chin, as my niece said, and thank you for the Serica Award. I want to congratulate also the other participants and also my family, my friends, and my fans. I started a small record store called Randy's Record in Kingston, Jamaica, almost 60 years ago. There was no woman in business, in music business at that time. It was considered a man's job. After leaving Jamaica in 1977, I came to the United States with my late husband, Vincent, and my children in tow. The road was not easy. It was a struggle. But with hard work and dedication, we started a successful record label with 3 generations now running VP Records. We are now the largest independent Caribbean record label in the world. And my advice to whoever wants, whether it be a man or a woman, to do whatever career they choose to do. If I can do it, you can do it too. And I wanted to congratulate 2 people who gave such a beautiful speech. It's Wendy and Frank. We belong, and we need to get together to advise others that we belong here and we should have a voice in whatever happens. Thank you very much, and thank you all.
The photos together.
I also want to introduce my sons. My family are here today. Randy Chin, Chris Chin, my grandson, CJ, and my niece, and also Keisha, my daughter-in-law. Thank you.
Stage just keeps getting higher when I have to hop onto it. Yes, we are. Absolutely. Yes, yes. I mean, that was awesome. How many of us knew that a Filipino Chinese woman is behind the world's biggest, one of the biggest world's reggae stars? That's incredible. In her honor, we will be playing reggae music during dessert. So get ready. Yes, we will. Get ready. All right. Moving on to our next honoree. She's already hiding. I see her. Wendy O'Neill. Wendy has been in Asia. Well, yes, please, applause, applause, please. We won't let you hide. Wendy has been in Asia for the past 4 decades as chair of ACC, the Asian Cultural Center. She has helped Asian artists such as Shen Wei, Cai Guoqiang, Kusama, and Murakami gain global recognition. Wendy is also chair of the China Medical Board, where almost over 120 years ago, her forefathers at the Rockefeller Foundation founded Peking Union Medical School and its hospital. It still stands as China's premier medical school and hospital. I believe we have a video about her achievements.
Wendy O'Neill has devoted her life to philanthropy and U.S. Asian exchange. She is currently the chairman of the China Medical Board, where she has been a trustee since 2006. Created by the Rockefeller Foundation in 1914, the China Medical Board presently is dedicated to funding medical education, policy research, global health, and health equity in China and Southeast Asia. One of the China Medical Board's recent programs is creating a network of 9 elite teaching hospitals to transform China's medical residency training. Wendy is a life trustee at the Asian Cultural Council, where she chaired between 2009 and 2023, and where she was a trustee for 14 years. Founded in 1963 to advance cultural exchange, the ACC has supported over 6,000 Asian and American artists, scholars, and arts professionals at pivotal points in their careers, enabling them to travel and learn in the USA and Asia. Notable grantees include Cai Guoqiang, Takashi Murakami, and Yayoi Kusama, who is now considered to be one of the world's most successful female artists. Their support for artists extends to others, like Pulitzer Prize-winning author Viet Tong Nguyen, dancer and choreographer Lin Hua Min, theatrical director Ong Ken Sen, as well as Palme d'Or-winning film director Chen Kai-ji. With all of these experiences and more, it's no wonder why Wendy is tonight's honoree.
You like to make your speech? We've got Charlotte presenting your award.
No, but I'm embarrassing myself already. I just. Do you need anecdote to share? Okay, good.
Okay,
I'll stand next to you.
thank you. Congratulations, Wendy. We're so honored to be here with you this evening to celebrate your accomplishments in bridging U.S. and Asian artists and our cultures. Being able to celebrate this award is heartwarming for me because your father, George O'Neill, was very kind and welcoming to me when I first joined the WNET board in 2003. He was very approachable and he always had a twinkle in his eyes when he talked about his daughter, his son-in-law, and his grandchildren living in Hong Kong. So that was you.
My children are right there.
Oh, wow, that's great. Yeah, your grandfather was very fond of you. So the apple does not fall far from the tree. Like your father, you have been nurturing and generous to Asian and Asian American artists all these decades. Your mentoring has helped many reach their full potential and earn international recognition. Their success has helped our communities to appreciate the rich diversity inherent in Eastern and Western cultures. As a trustee of both Serica and WNET, it is extra meaningful for me to see the intersection between the two organizations, not just in the collaboration on the anti-AAPI hate film series, but also in our admiration for you, your father, and your whole family. Congratulations and thank you.
Appreciate it.
Well, you can tell I'm very excited and honored. I I jumped the gun. Well, first of all, I want to thank all the people at Serica. I want to thank Charlotte for those words. My twin brother's here, and we've got my nephew and my kids. We all miss my father. So thank you. I do feel a little out of place up here as a white person being honored as an AAPI trailblazer, but I've always been an Asian wannabe, so I'm gonna embrace it. So my family, the Rockefeller family, has been involved with Asia for over 100 years. And our grandmother at 17 went to Beijing, and also, well, she went first to Japan, Korea, and then Beijing with her parents, my great-grandparents, in 1921 for the inauguration of the Peking Union Medical College. And at that time, well, you didn't get on a plane, so it took them a month, my grandmother and great-grandparents, to get there. And so they were really committed to establishing this philanthropy, which is still to this day the largest overseas philanthropy of the Rockefeller Foundation and the Rockefeller family. And they were very changed by the experience. They were moved and they became great art lovers and lovers of Asian culture. So surrounded by Asian art and stories of Asia growing up, I sort of leaned into this legacy. And in July, I was able to travel to China. And we were so, with the China Medical Board, and we were so well received by all of our Chinese partners. It was very moving. But we are acutely aware that our work in China could be criticized not only in China, but perhaps even more so here in the United States. But we are passionate about continuing this work between the two countries for the betterment of the health of both peoples and for peace. I also was until recently chairman of the Asian Cultural Council, and you showed Viet Thanh Nguyen, who won the Pulitzer Prize for his book, The Sympathizer. And we at the Asian Cultural Council gave him a grant to go to Vietnam to research another book on memory in the Vietnam War. And he noted that the Vietnam War was fought twice, once on the battlefield, and then the second time in our memory. He noted in the great American movie Apocalypse Now that all of the Vietnamese in that movie are two-dimensional, peripheral, and expendable. Something I didn't focus on the first time I saw it because I was dazzled by Martin Sheen and Marlon Brando. You know, and Viet brings Vietnamese narratives about the war and its aftermath to where it should be, at the forefront. And Serica and all my fellow awardees are bringing new narratives and understanding too, and it's just so inspiring. In Serica's piece on George Takei and his work on telling the story of the Japanese-American internment during World War II, I was reminded of a colleague of mine decades ago, Mitsu, who told me, I was just shocked, that she had been dispossessed and interned during the war, and that there were families, Japanese-American families interned, whose sons died fighting for the United States, who remained interned behind barbed wire and under suspicion. You know, these stories just have to be told. All of us are working in different realms, whether it's in the arts, academics, philanthropy, or media, and we must have the courage to stand up to talk out about these false narratives and the hate and counter these narratives. And, you know, fear narrows us and courage expands us. So we all have to have that courage. So thank you.
Wendy, don't run away without your
And now it's like,
with art and with medicine. I can't think of two better things to be dedicated to do everything you've done. Really, really incredible. Well done. Okay, we're moving on to the Serica Lifetime Achievement Award. I think it's probably no secret that this is going to George Takei. Unfortunately, George cannot join us tonight because Starship USS Enterprise is under maintenance, I'm informed. But he did prepare an incredible video, which hopefully we can play for you now. He's very honored by this award, and we're going to, very, very sad to not be here this evening.
I'm a veteran of the Starship Enterprise.
George Takei is an actor, author, and activist. He rose to fame playing Sulu in Star Trek.
I was the best helmsman in the galaxy and put to rest all that stereotype about Asian drivers. My father told me, look at the kind of roles that Asians are playing. And I said, Daddy, I'm going to change it.
There weren't many Asians on television, so when George would come on, it would be a special thing.
Let me compliment you. Are in amazing shape. Here we go. One, two.
But George's road to Hollywood was not an easy one. As a child, the U.S. government forced his family, along with 120,000 other Japanese Americans, to leave their homes and live in camps.
Suddenly, we saw two soldiers marching up our driveway, carrying rifles with shiny bayonets on them. And literally at gunpoint, we were ordered out of our house. And that's why I do what I do. I've written books on the internment story because it's a chapter of American history that is still little known. My personal mission in life is to raise the awareness. Because I'm an American, I want the United States to live up to the noble ideals of our democracy. And because of the heroes that I have and the struggles that we've gone through, I can stand before you as a gay Japanese American, but even more than that, I am a proud American. Thank you very much.
Yes. And receiving the award tonight for George is his good friend, Jay Kuo. Jay is CEO of The Social Edge, a digital publishing and social media company based in New York City. He's also wearing a spectacular blazer. You should ask him about it. There's a really good story behind it. He's head of Team Takei and manages George's 23 million Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter followers. Take that, influencers. He's also the composer, lyricist, and co-librettist for the Broadway musical Allegiance. The musical, inspired by George's early life, tells of how approximately 120,000 Japanese Americans, men, women, and children, were forced into internment camps in 1941 following the attack on Pearl Harbor. Jay is also a two-time Tony Award-winning co-producer for the hit musical Hadestown and the critically acclaimed epic play The Inheritance.
Good evening. My name is Jay Kuo, and as you can tell, I'm not George Takei, but I'm told I do a very good impression of him.
Oh my.
I met George Takei in 2008 by chance. He and his husband, Brad, were seated behind me and my producing partner at an empty off-Broadway play called Forbidden Broadway, and they were talking about theater. So I recognized his voice behind me immediately and turned around to say hello. How cool is that? I thought to be in New York City, my very first week, and to run into my childhood hero. After all, as the video that you just watched noticed, there weren't many Asians on television when I was growing up. But the universe had further plans for us. The very next night, we ran into George and Brad again, seated in our row in the Heights. Brad leaned over and said, George, I think they're stalking us. It was during intermission of that show when George first told us about his experience growing up in the internment camps of America. His father in the Heights reminded him, you see, of his own father's struggles trying to keep their family safe. And I remember getting goosebumps hearing that story. Here I was, an Asian American, and I had never heard a firsthand account of the internment. And I said to him, this is going to sound crazy, but I'm a musical theater composer, and I think the story you just told me would make a fantastic show. And that was how Allegiance, which premiered on Broadway 7 years later in 2015, starring George Takei opposite the great Lea Salonga, that's how that show was born. George and I would go on to collaborate on many other projects, including the launch of his social media empire, which I've been helping him manage since his very first tweet. And this past spring, at age 86, George reprised his role in Allegiance in our run in London, England. A little known fact, George is the only actor through all of our productions of the show, from our world premiere in San Diego to Broadway to the regional production in Los Angeles to the British production this spring, who has never missed a single performance, performing 8 times a week on stage to tell the story of his community and ensure we never forget the lessons of our past. Now, George is very sorry that he cannot be here tonight, but he did record a message for all of you. So on George's behalf, he thanks you deeply for this honor. And now we can watch George's acceptance speech as he has more to say.
Oh my. Thank you so much for that fantastic welcome and introduction. And thank you for placing me among a very impressive list of honorees tonight. Congratulations to the other 3 honorees. You are each accomplished in your own way, and thank you for all that you do for our communities. And thank you to Serica for bestowing on me the honor of your Lifetime Achievement Award tonight. It is my privilege to accept the award and to celebrate the important work Serica does for Asian Americans and for U.S. China relations. Congratulations on bringing our diverse communities together. We are stronger together. I am in Los Angeles tonight, but I'm celebrating with all of you in spirit. I'd like to spend a few moments discussing another moment in time, a pivotal moment in my journey as a social justice activist and as an Asian American. Very few people in my parents' generation talked about the camps after we got out. Their generation was so wounded, so pained, that they didn't want to inflict that on their children. My father, however, was one of the few people of that generation who talked to us, me, my brother, and my sister, about the internment experience. But more than that, he told us about our democracy. He always said that ours is a participatory democracy. We have to get in there and participate, especially as Asian Americans. Through participating, he said, we become visible, speak up and get heard, help others, and we become allies. We have to be allies to have allies. I was involved with the civil rights movement when I was in my teens and 20s. I did a musical called Fly Blackbird about the civil rights movement. I played a young student activist in that musical, and we sang at many civil rights rallies in Los Angeles County. The largest of them had Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. as the keynote speaker. After that rally, we had a private meeting with Dr. King. I will never forget that moment when I shook his hand. We were all working on this together, whether it's civil rights for African Americans, Asian Americans, or equality for women, or equality for the LGBTQ community. My father also told us that we've got to be resilient, gaman in Japanese. But gaman isn't just teeth-gritting endurance. It is to live under the harsh conditions of the prison camps. We had to make our own joy and our own happiness. My father saw beauty among those barbed wires. Enduring resilience is not just suffering with strength and pride. It's also creating our own joy and happiness. I hope each of you will find a way to participate in our democracy. Think of one thing. Start with something very simple you can do to help people understand Asian Americans better. Build bridges between different communities. Help promote greater understanding between the United States and Asia. And just as important, I hope each of you will make your own joy and happiness as you fight for justice. Just like my father taught me to find beauty even behind the barbed wire fence. Thank you again to Serica for this honor. May we work together toward a more just world, and may you all live long and prosper.
This is the part where Jay comes back and does more push-ups than George. Thank you. That was a great tribute. Our final honoree is Frank Wu, who we met earlier, president of Queens College and former chair of Committee 100. He's an accomplished academic and author of Yellow, a book that examines affirmative action, globalization, and immigration through the lens of Asian American experiences. And you have copies on your tables, so please indulge. Welcome back, Frank. Henry Tang will be presenting his award. Welcome to the stage, Henry.
Thank you very much, Roseanne. Thank you. Welcome, everybody.
Frank Wu is living the American dream and his personal dream. Wu is an American-born son of Chinese immigrants from Taiwan, now leading one of the most diverse colleges in the country in one of the most diverse areas of the country.
Before coming to Queens College, he was provost and dean at the University of California, Hastings School of Law. And before that, he was at Howard University, which is considered basically the historically Black college university in this country.
But my parents came as scholarship students. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for American higher education. So this is just coming full circle. That's why I wanted to be at Queens College, not any college. There was a belief that we had that we need these institutions to lift up whole communities, not just individuals, and that it'd be a public investment in the common good. At Queens College, we still believe in this common good.
Wu has written extensively about race relations. He says addressing the violence against Asians today must include people of all backgrounds coming together, similar to what happened with the Black Lives Matter movement.
There are demagogues who openly say, well, China's a threat. You're of Chinese descent. You're still suspect. We aren't real Americans. That's the theme here. So what do? We say, we are Americans. We got this common cause. We were born here. We're equals. We're staying. We're not tourists. We're not going back because this is our home.
We've partnered with a nonprofit group, the Yellow Whistle Project, that's giving out yellow whistles to people to blow on for safety and so that bystanders can become upstanders.
It goes all the way back to the Chinese Exclusion Act. You know, the arguments to keep Chinese and then all Asians out, the argument was they're going to take over. They're too good. They work too hard. There's a fear. It used to be a fear of Japan Inc. Now it's a fear of China ascending. It's important for our students to know that they can aspire to do anything. You know, someone had said, someday you could be running a place like this. I would have laughed at that and I said, yeah, not in my lifetime, but here I am.
Ladies and gentlemen, congratulations to Frank. The other person that we need to congratulate is the person who's created Serica. Why we're here, the mission of Serica and the mission of many other groups like Serica within the Asian American community. I would also like to recognize my good friend, Anla. Anla Jung, a pioneer. I've known Anla, I won't say how many years. I've known Frank more than 25 years. I'll admit to that. And I've been around for a while. I've been in this space for 50 years. And like Frank and like Anla, we all share the same passion for the struggles that Asian Americans and such as George Takei illustrated so eloquently. And it resonates today what happened back 80 years ago in California and the West Coast. We of Chinese American and Asian American heritage are experiencing something very similar. And I don't have to tell this room and this audience of all the different, enumerate all the different struggles. They are out there. People like Frank and people like Anla are pioneers. They put themselves out, articulated. Frank, as you can see by the video here, I was going to speak about all of his accomplishments, but the video does it better. But Frank is really an American hero. Born in Detroit, and he's been active in these Asian and Chinese American issues for decades. Puts himself out there with a pioneering voice. He's been on radio and television, as you can see, op-ed pieces in periodicals and newspapers, CNN, New York Times, Wall Street Journal, et al. He's been there. He's been there articulating it. And sometimes he's a lone voice. I've known him a long time. And he's the only one, but there are many others joining today because this is a national crisis that we're experiencing. Frank's personal background, though, is like a walking multi-diversity phenomenon. He went to teach at Howard, not Harvard, but Howard University. You know, and probably was the only Asian American faculty member there for a long, long time. That's when I first met Frank. And then, of course, he goes on and becomes the dean of his law school in his hometown, Detroit, Wayne State University, and then winds up as the dean of San Francisco's previously known as Hastings Law School. And here he is as a new New Yorker of only 4 years duration. I've spent New York here most of my life, a lot of years, trust me. And he's totally become engaged in the issues of Asian Americans, Chinese Americans, Asian New Yorkers. So I see Frank as a good friend who is going to lead us to the next level and chapter of Asian American challenge and bringing forth Asian American understanding of life in Asian America. So I am so honored, really, today to say to Frank, you are the man of the year, and you are a pioneer, and lead us on to the next chapter. Frank Wu.
Thank you, Henry. Thank you so much. This is a dream not of one individual or one family or one community. It is shared. We will make good on these enduring ideals of the American democracy if and only if we work together. Let us all acknowledge those who went before, those who will follow, and pay it forward. Thank you so much. Another big round of applause for Anla, who put all this together. Thank you for all you do. Thank you.
No, it's fine. Thank you. We have incredibly accomplished and incredibly humble people here tonight. We didn't even introduce Henry, who is also incredibly accomplished. We can I'm happy to read bits of his bio, or perhaps I'll do that because we went straight to Frank's award and we didn't talk about Henry, and we should. Second. Henry Tang is a Wall Street veteran who has been active in bridging cultural and economic understanding between Asia and the US. Together with Ian Pei, Yo-Yo Ma, and a group of prominent Americans of Chinese heritage, Mr. Tang helped found the Committee of 100. Mr. Tang is committed to fostering the advancement of Asians into senior leadership positions in business, politics, academia, medicine, science, and government. Several years ago, President George H.W. Bush appointed him to the Federal Glass Ceiling Commission, chaired by then Labor Secretary Lynn Martin, one of many prestigious honors he has garnered over the years. I didn't want to let that go because he came up here very humbly, but I thought we should put some context for him as well. So thank you for allowing that to happen. Anyway, how about those awards? I feel like we've covered so many different areas, and in many ways it feels like, I mean, I know you're not related, but it feels like there's a family up here that is really, looking to make a very joint effort on something. And it really is an honor to be part of it. Just as a reminder, some of the people honored tonight will be featured in films that are being made into educational material to provide Asian American history to American children in the classroom. All of this work is made possible by the hard work of Daniel, who you met earlier, and his team at Serica. If you haven't donated yet, please check out the QR code on the last page of your program. The programs are all still on the tables, yes. We are elevating Asian American relevance and encouraging American society to fight AAPI hate. Please donate generously by bidding up prices for our silent auction items. I haven't seen how the bids have been going, but it's probably worth checking out because we will be closing shortly after dessert. So you have until after dessert is completed to finalize those bids. Remember, there's a private tour of Tiffany's, the Blue Box Cafe by Boulou. There's a tour of Yunnan, there's art, there's fashion. Please be sure to check those out. Winners will be announced after dessert and overnight. So please make sure to leave your cell and contact info. Now, yes, we've got a video. I am reliably informed that we've got one to play of Yunnan to complement the auction item.
Just wanted to say that was Yunnan, one of the items that is being auctioned. And we're joined by Florence Lee of Sansam Tours. You want to raise your hand? She's sitting over there. She is graciously providing that as one of the auction items. It's going to be a once in a lifetime trip for you. Yunnan is the most biodiverse place in the world with the largest number of birds and also the largest number of diverse ethnic minorities in China. And you also have a curated tour by the Nature Conservancy of either the golden monkeys or the panda preserve. So go ahead and sign up on the silent auction outside. Sorry.
No, not at all, not at all. That looks heavenly. And if you haven't been to Yunnan, or even if you have been, please consider it. When I was there, I was traveling by bus and there were several chickens on the bus and I still managed to have a remarkable time. So I can only imagine that traveling this way is much nicer. Okay. Now I would love to introduce you to Wei Haimin, a renowned Peking opera star. We are really in for a treat. Wei Haimin's bio is in your program book. She is a widely recognized Peking opera superstar. She is the first student of Mei Baojiu, who is one of the most well-known Peking opera masters in the world. Wei Haimin shot to fame in the 1980s with Wu Xingkuo's Contemporary Legend Theater, known for adapting Western classics into Peking opera. In the 1990s, she became the leading diva of the newly founded Guoguang Opera Company. Wei Min will be singing the famous Goddess Scatters Flowers, which was sung by acclaimed Mei Lanfang. This scene touches on several Buddhist philosophies pertaining to self-transcendence, self-management of mind, freedom from dichotomy, formalism, and self-boundaries. In short, enlightenment. This may all sound like a lot to accomplish over dessert, but I believe in you. So without further ado, Wei Min, the stage is yours.
非常感谢大家的掌声。我因为昨天才到，所以我的嗓子还在睡觉。现在。
She said she just arrived last night, and so her voice is still asleep. Where is Tony, the translator? Tony, come. Tony, come on stage. Come on stage. OK， 好，你说。
所以今天唱的真的不是太好，希望各位原谅。
She says apologize. She did not sing as well as she could. No, it was fantastic.
谢谢，非常好，非常感谢。这首曲子呢是一个泛音了，所以呢就是特别带来送给大家听的。
Yeah, so this is a very special. Okay, go ahead. You translate.
That's your job. Oh, yeah, that's right.
对，就是这首曲子呢跟这个京剧是不一样的啊。这首曲子也是一个非常有姻缘的，一首祝福的曲子。那么，刚好已经快要到中秋节了，也就是在这个中秋节的时候，献给大家。
Okay. So this is not the traditional Peking opera repertoire, but it's with the old wish of best wishes and fortune in the future, and she hoped to present this song as a gift for everyone for the Moon Festival.
谢谢各位。OK，
好吗？
好。
谢谢维明，我觉得你的嗓子不睡着，我们欢迎你，月月，你唱的非常棒。
So I think we're coming to the end of our evening, and I just have a few final remarks. I guess we are all enlightened and transcended by Wei Min's wonderful singing. And I want to thank Wendy, because Wendy's ACC, she was also a grantee, was she not? She's a grantee from ACC, the Asia Cultural Center, and Wendy was responsible for bringing her to the United States. She flew over from Taiwan yesterday. So thank you, Wendy and ACC. So I certainly hope you enjoyed the evening. I am totally inspired and energized by all our honorees. Such achievements and energy all around. I hope that we continue to elevate our AAPI Asian role models to empower and inspire our community as leaders to fight AAPI hate. As George Takei said, we are all stronger together. Thank you all for coming tonight. Thank you to our donors and sponsors, EY, David and Charlotte Ackert Foundation, Wendy O'Neill and David Rayner, Kingdom Capital, to Long Foundation and Alpha Square for making this evening possible, and to all the individuals who bought tickets to come tonight. We so very much appreciate your support. Thank you too to our silent auction contributors and booth entrepreneurs, to Cape Classics for their delicious wine, and to 50 Hertz Tingly Food for the peanuts to bring home, and to Frank Wu for the yellow whistles to protect us, and your book Yellow to inspire us. And by the way, Frank said he has more books out there and he's willing to sign every one of the books. He'll stay till midnight to do that. And to all our booth entrepreneurs, kudos for your startup spirit. Thank you so much. Our last call for silent auction. Remember, you are supporting our work to create more film for our AAPI leaders and educational content for WNET and PBS and TAF to put into classrooms reaching hundreds of millions of people. Open your wallets and make your tax-deductible donations using your QR code at the back of your booklet, and also take a trip to Yunnan or to Tiffany and sign up for the silent auction for your tax-deductible contribution. Wishing you all much success throughout the year. Thank you for supporting us and for joining us tonight. Before you leave, and before you're not leaving, you have dessert, lots to happening. I just want all our staff to come on stage, TCP, Serica, and all our team members, come on stage, because these are the people that create our daily newspaper, our daily work. We work very hard because we are here to make sure that we fight and we stand for Asian Americans, for Chinese, U.S. China relations. This is Elaine, our marketing, Michelle, our events director, Jayun, who writes everything about culture, Daniel, our executive director, and who else do we have? That's it for tonight, I guess. Okay, so thank you so much again. And Roseanne, thank you so much. Come on up. You did a fantastic job. We can't wait till your next book. Do you want to just say the closing remarks here? I think you have here.
I do.
Okay,
Yes.
go ahead.
Our evening will continue through dessert and more networking. I saw Miss Pat watching Wayman with great interest. So there may be some sort of a Peking opera reggae fusion happening. We don't know. The night is young. But that's everything. It's been a pleasure. You've been a wonderful audience. Thank you for being so polite.
And we are playing reggae music during dessert. So we want you to dance, have some dessert, and have fun. Thank you for being here tonight. And we love having you tonight. Thank you.